Hello everybody, Cowabunga!
Cowabunga!
Welcome to our impromptu Rise of the TMNT animation and boards analysis and general geeking out stream. It's Doig and I.
Oh my god.
And our pal Patrick.
It's me!
It's you!
It's me. It's the pat potato that you all hear about every day.
Yay, potato.
Talk like that the entire stream.
For anyone who doesn't know, Patrick is the director of Knights of the Light Table, and he directed a bunch of music videos over there, most of them. In fact, all of them except for Starlight Brigade, basically. How are you doing, Patrick?
I am doing well. Got my Diet Coke. I pet my puppers today. Had some breakfast. So we're good. We're energized. We're excited. We get to look at some amazing animation. This is a little something that me and India have already been raving about in our own free time, and we thought we'd bring the rest of y'all in here to experience that with us.
Yeah, Patrick and I basically had like an hour to an hour and a half geek out session where we just went through and looked at boards anyway, and then about an hour in we were like, we could probably do this on stream or something, or record it so that people can hear what we're saying about it. So we figured
we got things to say.
We do. We have all good things to say about this amazing show. Hey, you guys can see my screen.
Woo.
You guys might recognize this clip as the one which has been circulating around Twitter recently. It's an incredible clip from the latest episodes of The Rise of TMNT, the Battle Nexus episodes.
Is your audio on for it? If I hit play, is it going to start making a bunch of noise?
It shouldn't. I have made sure that my NDI, which is my screen sharing software, has got silence checked, so it shouldn't play the music. We'll see.
Yeah, it should. It should be silent.
I can hear it, but no one else can.
For those of you who may first be seeing this, this is from this is the battle nexus.
Yes.
From not the latest episode, but one of the latest episodes of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
That just takes it to 11.
Yeah, I mean, the animation for this show has always been incredible, but I think this sequence in particular has kind of blown everyone's minds a little bit. There's so much good direction in here.
See why?
Like, if you want to see how to have a fight scene with like 6+ characters and still keep everything readable and the action clear, this is a great example.
Yeah, these compositions are so strong.
As usual, they're really pushing all the perspectives.
Ah, this punch.
Yeah, this punch is incredible, right? The way they show the power doesn't even touch him. It doesn't even touch him!
There's so much to talk about. I don't know where to start. Like, we can talk about how it tells the story, right? What is it telling you about the Shredder character and about what they're going through? We could talk about the compositions, the movement. Like, there's a brilliant thing that happened right there that, as far as resetting the 180 rule, that I'm going to want to go into,
please, yes.
In a bit. But, like, there's so much, like, the economy, but, like, also, not just economy, but, like, the tactful use of movement is very impressive.
Is it playing smoothly on your side, India?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Let me know if you want to, like, switch the way that I'm sharing my screen or anything.
Gotcha.
Boom!
Amazing.
All right, how awesome was that?
Yeah,
everybody?
holy heck. I'm sorry if you guys weren't able to see that super smoothly, but since we'll be going through it like pretty slowly now, you guys will be able to see all of the details.
So let's turn it up to the chat. Let's see what you guys want to talk about first. Do you guys want to talk about the storytelling? Do you guys want to talk about the motion, the animation of it? Do you want to talk about the direction in terms of like storyboarding. We're talking like 180 rules, composition, things like that. Like,
yeah, color choice is
we're
brought up
talking
as
about it
well.
all.
Color choice is something probably Mike could talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, Artistic Leo says, what is this 180 rule? So I guess that's probably a good place to start.
Sure. Do you want me to talk about it, or do you want to talk about India?
Either of us. I think we're both familiar with what it is.
Yeah. I would say in the most succinct form, I'm gonna make a little box here.
You're gonna do a little doodle.
A little doodle. So let's say you have a room. You have character A, and character B in said room. When they're staged in a shot and you're trying to pick where to place your camera, if you connect a line between them, this is more often than not known as the 180-degree line, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's 180, and so that means like if you set your camera here, your camera cannot go here next. It can't cross that line without justification. And a lot of that is for continuity purposes. So when you're setting up staging of characters, you set up like this character's on the left side, this character's on the right side. And if you cross that 180-degree line without justification, you break that. And so that can be disorienting to an audience member. And it's usually a subconscious realization. Unless it's egregious, it's not a conscious, what the hell happened? So because of that, directors can switch that on purpose for a certain effect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if two characters take sides on an argument, right, and then one gets convinced to go to the other side, then that 180 might switch. Things like that. But especially for things like action, like high intensity action, that's very important because with motion, if you break that, you could have a situation where like a character flies off screen going screen right. They shouldn't enter then from the right side, going left.
Unless they've been buffeted back by something. But it definitely makes things less readable because without maintaining screen direction and without maintaining character position on screen, if you have a lot of very fast cuts, it can become very difficult to identify which character is which or where the action's taking place. Anything like that.
Exactly.
Just basically want to keep it consistent and keep the flow going, which means consistent screen direction and clear character placement.
So yeah, that's the general gist of the 180-degree line.
Yes.
Yeah. See, we're already educational.
So where did they break it here, Pat? Because I didn't even notice.
Did they? No, yes, actually, they didn't break it. They switched it. So this whole time, he's on the left and Shredder is on the right. He's on.
Yep.
Here he is, left, right. The door's behind him. Shredder comes. Shredder's on the left. He's on the right. Is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
So this whole time.
And that's the
like,
same with
justified.
that's the same with the Battle Nexus. Sorry, the Nexus Hotel building too. Like that's consistently set up as being on the right-hand side of the screen, and that's what this character is trying to get towards. So all of the action where he's going towards that, it's pushing from left to right, and all the action where the turtles are trying to stop Shredder from getting to the building is going left to right.
The whole battlefield is a big hallway. Here's the hotel, right? And like Shredder's here, and you have like everybody fighting him here, and then he's kind of making it this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the 180-degree line, then that means like Shredder's here, he's on the left side, our character's here, and he's moving right.
And that's why you can see that even on shots like that, where you're basically looking at a center composition, there's still a leaning where the vanishing point is pushing from left to right. You can still see that the characters feel like they're placed in accordance to that corridor.
Yeah.
There's really strong line of action
on shot
in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Look at that beautiful pose.
Slice. Yeah.
Ugh.
Look at the back foot stretching all the way through that strike.
Yeah, the whole body.
Oh yeah.
So readable. Like, as silhouettes are so readable.
They've also
This is another thing you can do with 180, is that like you can have characters basically facing the screen, right? So if it's a straight on view like this, then you can kind of, that's a good way to move the 180 to another side.
Yeah, you can either break it up with a central shot like this, or you can actually show the character on screen changing direction, so long as you make it very clear.
Yeah. Look what side of the screen he's on. He's still here. It's still going. Because that's where Shredder is. Shredder is here. Our turtles are here.
Mm-hmm.
So even on some of these straight-on shots, like if it's not directly straight on like that previous shot was, like that's directly straight on. This one's still a little bit more like 5/8, 3/4. There he is. See, he's facing that direction. This all happens. Okay, so where it breaks. This all happens here. He comes in, stops the punch. The staging is still the same. He's still on the right side. Shredder's on the left.
Yep.
But it's mainly which way is he facing. Our guy is facing this way, right?
Yes.
He gets punched. Ba 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 ba. He starts going up the building. He's having a great time.
Yep, just a blast.
Yeah. So we have a bunch of shots in between, so we don't need to worry about it.
Even when he's
really
going up through the building, it's going from left to right with the camera choice. Like that camera shift, he's still going left to right until it's central.
Yeah, but right here. Look which way he's facing now. Now he's facing this direction.
Yep.
That's not the way that he came up. If we were keeping that, he would be facing this direction.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't what they did, but why did they do that? This is a new
it's a new set
scene, so.
Right?
Exactly. So he lands here, right? He's kind of facing that way. The door opens, and the spider lady, she's coming out from screen right. So he needs to react to that.
Which means he needs to be looking at where the door to this room is, which means he needs to be looking to the right-hand side of the screen.
Mm-hmm. That happens, knocks her out. And what happens? Straight on shot to the reveal of Shredder. Shredder is still here, and we reestablish.
And now he's going to start looking to the left again
that we were
at
before.
Shredder.
Exactly.
But look how clear it is every time. Like, every time we're very, very clearly establishing the characters' positions in relation to one another. If it was just a shot of Shredder coming up through the floor without Draxum there for context, then we wouldn't know where Draxum was in comparison to Shredder, and the entire scene would be less clear. But every time they stage things, they're making sure that they include all the relevant information that you need to know in order to understand where these characters are in the room in relation to one another.
And this is we're just talking broad strokes at this point. We haven't even gotten into the minutia of, like, just the shots themselves.
This is just
how amazing they are.
It's just screen direction. 180 rule.
It's really important, though, for maintaining a flow and having your audience understand spatially how things are moving through it, because if you start switching that up, you will add unnecessary confusion between the actions, and you'll lose momentum in what you're trying to say with the scene.
Well, especially in fight scenes, which really have to have a sense of flow, and where there are often very fast cuts. You know, it can be argued that it's a bit easier to keep things very clear when you have very slow-paced action just between two people having a conversation or something. Aww. Shreddy!
Hey!
Hey!
He's like, you good now?
Hey guys!
Here comes death!
Yuck!
Alright. It's really good. Alright, so I think that's a pretty good discussion about the 180-degree rule and how it's used in here.
Can we talk about how they make Shredder feel so dangerous in this scene?
Sure, yeah, I'm up for that. Like, because this scene is all about just showing the sheer unstoppableness of our character.
The unconquerable odds that it is battling the Shredder, and how everything they're doing is to hold him off, not to beat him.
Exactly.
He's kind of like this mix between speed and power.
Yeah.
Like, those are two things they're communicating here.
And story-wise, the way that they communicate this is to not actually have Shredder land any punches on anyone, but to show the destruction of what would happen if those punches did land through the way that the environment reacts to him.
Does he sever his tabard?
Also, look how fast they have him move and how much weight they give him in terms of the build-up to the movements.
It does. Happens right there.
Psst, psst. That was going to be his head.
Yep. So look at this.
Silhouettes.
Like, he didn't even... Like, all he did was swing his arm, and buildings either side of him are being cleaved straight through just from the force of that. Like, he can't hit any of the characters, because if he did, he would obliterate them.
Exactly. And I think, like, another thing, this fight, like, whoop. I just had a network error. Is everything fine?
Everything seems fine on this end.
We're good over here.
All right. Cool. Just making sure. Let me know if you send me a text if you guys can't hear me anymore.
Okay, sure thing. You guys can all still hear Pat, right?
Still there?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
still here. You still hear us?
Okay.
Okay.
Can people in chat still hear Pat?
Yeah. All right. We're good.
Okay, cool.
All right. So I was gonna say about this is kind of there's a big storm happening outside right now, so just a heads up.
Okay.
This is one thing in terms of like making epic shots, right? Like this entire fight scene is full of that, and a good way to do that is to alternate what is in motion and what is not in motion from foreground to background.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things we were talking about with the tactful use of motion in this, is that right here he swipes, right? The middle ground never moves here. It just stays as a silhouette. They're all just staying in place.
Yep.
But the foreground, because he's slicing through, cuts. And then we wait, and then we see it happen in the background.
I love the leaning they've given in the background buildings. It's kind of a similar effect you see when you're filming while you're on a train.
Going really fast.
And yeah, because it'll register the top of the image before the bottom, and you'll have that diagonal slant, and they've shown that kind of motion in those buildings behind. I love that.
Yeah. Also, just like in terms of communicating the speed here, the fact that all the characters are frozen in this shot, like, really shows you like how fast this destruction happens. It's a split second.
Yeah, he's still in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like straight shot composition. Here's another one, like this whole thing.
Such an incredibly complex shot.
I almost feel like we're supposed to be
Love those impact
overwhelmed
frames.
by what's happening here.
Well, this is selling the chaos of the battle, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is showing what happens in real time when all the characters are fighting this monster at the same time.
It's so good. And like this explosion is like, it is technically movement, but right now the last thing that we're looking at is just him.
Mm-hmm.
We're just looking at him because he's now the only character left on screen. And speaking to that chaos of the moment, like what I was talking about beforehand about choosing when to move the background and when not to move things, or like between foreground and background, here they've kept both in motion as a climactic shot.
Mm-hmm.
And so you feel that chaos because there's so much motion happening that like the subconscious emotion you get from that is just being overwhelmed.
Yeah, you don't know what to focus on. There's so much happening, and that's exactly how this character feels running away from it. It's like he's just trying to stay on his feet and keep this thing safe. That's his objective.
Yeah.
And showing like
with that
how
said, there's
everything in the background is affecting the foreground too. So having like that giant tanker truck slam down and throw him into the air
So good.
also helps to add to that sense of threat and chaos that he feels trying to run away from this, because everything is still way too close for comfort.
So is a very like great use of depth in this shot here.
Yeah. Something that they're amazing
Really-
at in this show in particular is like selling that really forced perspective and really making the scenes feel like there's a sense of depth to them. They have characters go in and out of cam so much.
Is this a this thing here with him punching himself in the head? That makes me think of Berserk a little bit.
Oh, really?
The gold. Yeah, there's a moment in the Golden Age arc when the Skull Knight comes in and is attacking the God Hand, and he strikes at why can't I think of his name? The big brain dude. And the guy makes a portal in front of him, and then Skull Knight has to then put his shield up because the portal opens up above him, and he blocks it.
Nice. I love that kind of creative fight choreography.
Oh yeah,
Where
so good. Like everyone gets like a little moment, and every time this is almost like a dance group,
Mhm.
in that, you know, right now we have one character who's having their moment, while this kind of bat is spinning, right, ready to be tagged in for the next person. It bounces off. Once he's off screen, in comes his brother from the other side to take up, you know, to do his little bit. These things are really well composed. That's happening here. This is happening here, right?
silhouettes are still super clear.
Yeah. And then we finish this kind of big group thing with a singular punctuation. Right, so we go from a big choreography shot with everything happening to a few close-up shots. These are what I like to call parts of a whole,
Yes.
Okay.
where you're kind of like you piecemeal it a little bit, and it's part of the rhythm of a fight sequence is to add some of these in here because we're punctuating this, we're concluding this
Yeah,
with
and
a strong statement.
speaking of rhythm too, I love the pace of this scene. The way that we have all this chaos happening, and then we have this one quiet moment. Before everything resumes again. Like, it adds so much texture to have
I like
all
that
this
twist.
chaotic, frenetic movement, and then suddenly have a scene that's very closely spaced like that.
Oh, man, look at the impact frame. Boom.
Yep, everybody slows down, and then the background takes up the motion. Or not the background, the foreground comes in.
And then we're going to use that wipe to cut to a different character, but keep the flow and the dynamism going.
I love that he just goes through the door and disappears.
Yeah, well, and she comes in foreground, doesn't she? So our eyes are in the right place for her to come into screen and take our attention.
Yeah.
We get all the information we need, which is Draxum is now in the hotel. He's been knocked in there. And then in the same shot, and that's economy of shots, we get to see Big Mama come in with the ring and deliver her dialogue. That could have been two different shots, but they staged it in such a way that we could keep it very simple, keep it very clear. Show
Very
two things with
dynamic
just
posing,
one.
too.
Yeah.
A lot of diagonals. Great stuff. And turns. Boom. I don't know how she sees this from her angle. Technically, she's like way the hell over there.
Technically,
but
she'd be
it's
on the
a
other
conceit of
side,
the scene.
but because we want to keep the 180 rule, we can get away with it, basically.
How you doing there, Draxum? Yeah.
Oh, he's fine.
That makes me realize that he was rolling this entire time. They're having conversation. He's still rolling through the hotel.
Just continually. Yep.
Oh, he just...
Look how they sell
Bang.
the speed of this. Look at this
He's just there.
spacing. Yeah, he's just there.
But
Am I not?
the camera anticipates
hold on.
him arriving.
And another thing, as far as like this is tactful motion. Draxum doesn't move here, but his cloth does.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. His cloth and hair. So that's probably on a separate layer. There's probably some clever layer usage here, but like, yeah, just his cloth, hair, and ears.
Yeah, because they want to sell the impact of this guy coming in and stopping so fast, but we also don't want to take away from the focus being on Shredder.
Yeah, this is such a good shot for like how to do a punch in straight on perspective.
Yeah, and eye trace as well.
arm.
Like everything in this scene flows so well because your eye's always in the right place to catch the action between each shot, even though it's a very fast series of shots.
The foreground arm is coming up here. The background arm is coming there. It's my cursor. There it is. So like what happens is that this moves out of the way. Oh, can I not scroll? There it goes. And then he kind of finishes, slows down a lot right in this motion. This super cushion. Okay.
Because you want to see that
How you
face. Always so cute.
And then, if you notice, like this is the thing that like is for all you beginner animators or people who are trying to get better. Like, don't be afraid to obscure things, especially with big characters like this. You don't see his other fist yet. Like a lot of people would want to show that because they'd be worried about not seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to see it the whole time. It's like, nope.
I would be
Obscure
tempted.
it, bring it in. Yeah. This reminds me of Escaflowne. There's a very famous Yutaka Nakamura fight scene with these big mechs in like a gladiatorial arena. And at one point, there's this kind of like swooping hook underneath. It's like uppercut hook that the main character does to puncture one of the gems on the other guy's mech that like deactivates it.
Right,
This
gotcha.
very much reminds me. I've used shots like this because I love that scene so much.
You know that everyone working on the show loves Yutaka Nakamura. You can see like the Utapon cubes, like
Oh,
when
yeah.
Draxum is thrown off the floor earlier. And look how the camera also is like between each shot. The camera is keeping this continuous flow that's tying all the shots together.
Oh, yeah, but like, here comes the fist, right? The fist is doing this motion.
Mhm.
This is what we're following. Fist, fist, fist. Here it comes. Here comes the fist. So the fist is threatening him from that motion. So of course he's jumping back this way, and he's going to put his hand here to stop it.
Mhm.
That's what he does. And then here, these are coming up to catch the fist. So like this is like the continuity of motion is really important in a fight scene.
Yeah. And we can tell that these are coming from behind Shredder too because of the direction that they're coming out of the floor. Because again, we have a very clear idea of where these two characters are in relation to one another because that's already been set up for us. That delayed reaction.
Another impact frame.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
And again, the characters are pretty much stationary here. A lot is happening to the environment behind them and around them. This happens, right?
Mhm.
That's a big moment where you pause, and then that changes. So our eyes are going here. That, and then the foreground, everything gets swept away, and then we see him slowly get pulled up. Yeah, God, silhouettes are so important in these moments.
And that's why they staged it from the side like that. Was for the clearest possible read.
It's nice cascading explosions. I wonder if did they reuse some?
They must have. They must have
You
just
know,
layered
if
it cleverly.
They did. Yeah,
Yeah, I can see
I can see it.
the way it bursts up
The
at the beginning there.
shape here is gonna come up again. Right
There it is, yep.
They've layered it very well though, that you
can't tell.
you don't notice the reuse. Yeah,
They've probably
But
done the same with
that's
the
very
debris, I'm guessing.
yeah. But I would say that that's also really smart for this moment because we want a cascade of explosions, right?
Mhm.
You don't want it to be one long stream. You want it to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like you want to feel the impact of each one of those separately. And like by reusing those explosions and being able to control the timing of them individually. I just realized this is one shot.
Yep, it doesn't
Oh,
even
it's a
wipe the
fisheye
camera,
lens.
we just follow it all the way up.
And they cover it with the explosion. That's smart.
Yes.
If this explosion wasn't here, this is what you would see.
I
With
love
the-
those
with the windows.
backgrounds. They used to use those in Honjaria all the time, where they would have this really distorted background where you would pan along it, but it would feel like the perspective was changing. Such a fun thing to do in animation.
Good.
And then we get to see what was
So much
making all that dust.
Oh, hey, look, it's in India.
Yeah. I love the sense of fun that's in these boards too. Like, even in this serious moment, we get this nice little moment of all these patrons who are paying to see people battle one another. Yeah, they're essentially paying to see this fight, watching as the place they're in has this explosion traveling upwards, basically to where they are.
Little Jurassic Park moment there.
Yep.
Oh, look at that.
They all just move
they just
up.
Took the drawings a little bit.
And then suddenly new drawing.
And there's even in this little motion right here, before the explosion, there is thought put into that. It's a distance, right? Like it's like a hill, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's in the distance, so that means these characters here are going to move up further than the ones that are closest to us.
Yeah, they could have just tweened all the characters up at the same time, but they did not.
But they did. Because like the peak of the hill, that the dimple that's going to explode, basically. Not dimple. What's the opposite of a dimple? I guess that would be a pimple, wouldn't it?
I guess so, yeah. I never thought of dimples and pimples as inverses of one another before, but now I know.
And then here we go. We talked about this. There's so much to talk about. I'm trying not to stay focused and not like just start careening off into like talking about drawings and.
It's very difficult.
Animation.
There's so much happening in every single, like almost every single frame of this has something worth talking about in it, and definitely every scene does. So it's pretty difficult to choose one thing to talk about through a sequence. That amazing pose there, like the way the character design as well with the costume really emphasizes the movements. You have these wonderful center lines and these great lines that you can continue just like that, straight along the back, straight along the elbow.
Things like choosing to what perspective to see this cuff at, and what to tangent and what to overlap.
Yep.
It's actually very much like old school like Disney.
It is actually, yeah, like some old Milk Call drawings. It reminds me of those kind of designs.
And then, of course, the palm forwards, that means you see the finger in the back, like that, right? With the hands.
And you have all these...
Here's your thumb, and then finger like that, yeah.
Have all these beautiful waypoints as well for the character to indicate all the twists. So you have like a wonderful center line down the center of the chest. The chest is like its own shape that's cut off at the shoulders, so you can see where the shoulders are. You get the waistband, so you can get the curvature of whether you're facing, whether you're looking at the character from above or below. Like, there's so much going on in that character design that helps to make it readable. And so much that they're playing with the posing too.
Yeah, it was always pitched to me as like cheating perspective when it was like they're talking about like Disney drawings, right? So like the idea is that like if you're drawing like Goofy's leg or something, right, and you have this kind of foot here, right? If you have a bunch of tangents and you don't really like that's kind of the general shape. But like if you pay attention to overlap and you choose that like the thigh line should go on top so that the calf line can go underneath it, that simple overlapping line puts this in front and that in back, and then you can just kind of choosing what is concave, what is convex, what overlaps what, just by sheer which lines you choose to be on top.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening here.
Like Mike and I call that the T-junction, which is just like that T shape you get when two lines overlap.
That's a better way to say it.
I mean, but sometimes they're choosing to flatten those out, like along the arm, and that's because straight lines have a lot of power and dynamism in them. So when you want to show that something like the arm has been thrown back, using a straight line just to make that a really clean shape makes it so much more readable immediately on a glance.
So the force of the arm movement flattens out.
It's straights versus curves as well, right? Just appeal.
This is being recorded, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And yes, that is correct. It's an appeal thing. You see it in a lot of Milt Call drawings. Like that's like I always call that like the Milt Call cuff or sleeve, is when you have like a hand. You have like there's your thumb and like there's a pinky and some other fingers, and like he'll have this straight line, and then the cuff won't actually overlap the straight line. It'll what's the word I'm looking for? Terminate.
Yeah, it will
just
meet
there.
it perfectly. Like it'll go flush with the line of the arm.
Which gives it this hanging feel, you know? And then, if you're, like, pushing that arm forward, let's say, like, you really push that, I need, like, a Luke. Like, pushing that hand forward, then that sleeve will drag.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom will drag first, and you get this wonderful sense of motion.
But you still keep it super readable because of that top line.
Yeah. And, like, we're seeing a lot of that here, and, like, a lot of this pose is basically parallel and perpendicular lines. Right? It's not just the lines that are flowing into this hand that's coming here, because this hand's like, he's going to try to pull it forward, so the palm is kind of flown back. It's dragging.
Mm-hmm.
The wrist is really where this power is coming from. But like we're also like, any line that's not doing that is almost perpendicular, right? It's this chest line. So we're getting a lot more T-shapes.
Yeah. There's such a great feeling of momentum with this pose too. Like you can tell that his shoulders and chest are dragging forward here. You can see the direction of the movement, like the thrust of the movement.
His neck is forward, his head is really pulling forward. And if you guys want to do this yourselves, if you guys want to try to do these types of poses, my recommendation is get in front of the mirror or just feel your body as you're trying to do that pose, and consciously be aware of your joints, your clavicle, be aware of your shoulders, like, all right, I want to throw a punch, so I'm gonna do the wind up. And once you're moving into that wind up pose, be like, what is my shoulder doing? Is it going up? Is it going back? Is it rotating out and around? What is my fist doing? What is my elbow doing? And you have to kind of become consciously aware of the mechanics of how all this works, and then you can apply basically these kind of motion enhancement techniques.
Yeah, like everything
really
is a hierarchy, right? Like it's a chain reaction through the body. Look at that continuation of the movement there. I love that.
Oh.
That whip around.
I just realized that's a yeah.
Yeah, that he ends up. Why does that work so well?
Comes up from screen. Well, because this is, again, we're talking about whenever you have a rule in animation, or a crafting rule, like, it is designed to be bent and to be broken, because that's just what artists do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anytime you tell an artist this is exactly what constitutes the art that you're in, you're gonna have one who goes like, yeah, but what if I did it the other way?
Yes.
Does that still count?
And that's how you get Goofy's feet being backwards on his walk cycle.
I think it's because of the twisting motion.
The camera's got to be doing something too, right? To like arc that around. The momentum here is really selling it.
It is a reverse shot, and I think this is why, like, in fight scenes, your 180 is super important, but can also be fudged, right? And it's a twist. That's what's happening. We're twisting this motion, so that means we're doing this. We're coming down, and we're still coming down, but now we've twisted the camera around.
It's incredible.
That's what's happening.
Like, because it's almost like you're seeing two keys with no in-betweens, but your mind is filling in the blanks there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're getting the whole motion, but you're only seeing the beginning and the end of it. But they're implying the rest of it, which is incredibly economic.
If instead, like, it only works in that twisting body motion because his leg is established coming back here. If instead this shot here, she came down here and got hit,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't make as much sense.
Yeah.
Because she's not twisting, she's going in one straight line. So I get excited about this, so let me know if I'm talking too much.
This is perfect. What do you mean? What? Mike's pointing at me. What is it?
I don't.
Check the chat. Oh my
what's going
gosh! JJ!
Whoa,
Hey JJ! JJ Conway's in chat. Pat, JJ is
hey.
one of the board artists on the show. Like,
Oh my god.
he's lead story artist on the movie.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Welcome, JJ. Hope you're having a good day.
JJ, welcome. We're currently ranting and not ranting. We're raving about these amazing boards. We've gone through some of the broader strokes. We're kind of getting into more of the minutia now
Mm-hmm.
of just each shot. Also, I love this. I love her in the background.
Yeah, Donnie's face. He's
Oh, yeah.
contributing. He's doing his best.
So good. God, there's so much to talk about.
It is. Like, look how fast
That
this
sense of
movement is.
power.
I love how Shredder just appears.
Well, before I do that, I want to talk about Splinter a little bit, because I absolutely love this animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so simple. There's really subtle things happening. This is brilliant spacing, right?
Yes.
Like, we're going from very, very broad spacing to very tight spacing.
For anyone who's wondering,
And
this
that,
is
like-
just an ease-in. But this is it used super well.
Well, it's got texture, right?
Mhm.
Because they're alternating. The primary movement is very simple, right? We've got this foot that's sweeping out, like the previous drawing was like here. So big spacing. Like, look at the size of the spacing that's going to be between. Like, his foot's going to be like here, I think, in the next drawing. So, like, where's my cursor? Yeah, like the spacing from here to here is huge, but then it immediately goes like now each drawing is like this far spaced.
Yep.
Very tight. And so this is a cushion, right? He's cushioning. It's a slow in. It's still I can tell that like his keys were strong, like he was thinking about like that the foot is probably going to turn a little bit, you know, the knee's probably going to drop.
Yep.
Things like that. This hand's probably going to still go back a little. He's thinking about that in his keys, you can tell, because like there's still a nice little complexity to the movement.
Yeah. And if you look at how much the foot by the camera is moving compared to the rest of the body, you're getting that really nice forced perspective where things that are closer to the camera are going to have slightly wider spacing even though it's still tight, and it creates this amazing sense of foreshortening as the foot pushes forward and the rest of the body stays mostly stationary.
I want to put that knee there, though.
If you want to know how to animate amazing forced perspective shots, this is a great one to look at. Like, just comparing the spacing on the back of the body with the front of the body and how the focal depth is affecting that.
Yeah, like look how much of the screen this takes up. His thigh, his calf, his foot. Like, look how much that is, and then look how little the torso is. These are good exercises to do if you're trying to do forced perspective, is like actually look at the size of what you're creating these objects. Like, his other leg would be like this.
Mhm.
Right?
Yep.
His head is tilted down and looking at it, so it's not super obscured, but...
Yeah, I often find that things that are further back in perspective like that are way smaller than you
Doig
think they would be.
color.
Well, I mean, it's animation, so like part of the fun is getting to exaggerate that stuff past what is realistic to sell the motion more and to make it feel more like what you're going for. Like believability rather than realism.
Even in a photograph of like a cityscape, and you place like one car back a car, and it's just like it's so much smaller than you think it's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
You pull a car and you pull it forward, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, you can choose to have flatter camera focal lengths if you want to, but like one of the things I love about this show is that they always push for depth in some way with each shot.
And the other nice thing about this animation is the timing of the cloth is double what's going on here. So you're seeing things like, you're seeing a lot of like convex go into concave shapes, like a lot of S to C curves, just kind of, and this gives you that flapping feel, but because the cloth is flapping, it gives that texture to the animation.
Because it's fast versus slow again, right? And you're getting the feeling of the speed at which Shredder is going, even though his spacing is very tight, which, you know, means a slow motion. Yeah. The fast flapping
5.
shows us how fast he's traveling.
Yeah, just one. That's just one.
Yeah, one smear, and then we're into the cushion of the pose. And he's just following
Which then
through.
is like, yeah. It's like 1, 2, let's see. 2, 3. Well, actually, you know, I think he might be on ones there. But that's 3 drawings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so 6 drawings going from here to there. That's 6 drawings. And that's 1 drawing. 2 drawings. And that's the difference between spacing and timing, you know, or not the difference. That's the difference that spacing makes, is what I should say.
Yeah.
It's like, that's where you get that power.
Gosh, this show is stylish. This. The way that they desaturate everything, except for that background sky there. It's almost like the blood is being sucked out of the scene because everyone's on the edge of their seats so much.
This is a good one in terms of composition. Okay, everyone is staged here.
Yeah, and look at the posing too. Just so strong.
Eye lines.
Foreground, midground, background. Like, there's a lot of shots framing the Shredder from a low angle here, which helped him feel really large compared to all the other characters.
We didn't even talk about camera angles yet.
I know. There's too much. It's all too good.
I'm gonna try and grab the boards for the sequence as well, so that we can kind of see where the thoughts were.
Oh, Michael, we'll be here all night.
I'll have to do this more than once then.
But like, yeah, just like I love this kind of pose he's in. They've really pushed that arm out here to kind of frame fall. We've got the shoulder, like he's got this nice kind of
That curve to the
C
back.
shape to him. Yeah.
Yeah. So nice to show that it's landed. Like he's landed, but it's craning his head up. Both to make eye contact with Splinter and to check what's happening with Shredder. Because he can't just lie down, he's got to get back up ASAP.
If you were to draw a center line from like his like groin through his chest, it completely is obscured. Like his chest is facing like that plane, and the groin is like facing us here. And it's like that Shredder. It's such a good twist in the form.
Yeah, and again, the design like is so good to emphasize that, to give us center lines and everything. Like the way that we have this V shape down his back to imply that center line, the spikes on the hood. Like the design is giving you everything you need to know.
I love armholes in outfits like this, just because like that's such a wonderful way to show the torso from the side. Like if that's an arm, right? Like put some armholes on there.
Yep. At least put like shirt sleeve seams.
Yeah. So good.
So Drax and the shoulder pads are so helpful. Make a really clear divide between the shoulder and the arm and the torso.
I also really like this shot because it emphasizes the difference in scale between Shredder and Splinter by encapsulating the entirety of Splinter
within the silhouette.
Within his silhouette, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I can tell that Pat's just like, I just want to draw this because it's nice. It's just a fun drawing. Calling you out.
There's a lot to like about it.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, what's the underform?
Because all the information is, it's all there, right?
Yeah, I like how like his feet and everything are hidden. It makes him this kind of like pillar-esque character.
Makes it much easier to animate too, because foot placement is definitely it's a challenge, which I think is why a lot of the time they tend to hide, Splinter's feet behind his robes. And look at the way the background is framing the shot here too. Like we have basically a 1-point perspective going down to where Shredder is.
I think you've got that vanishing point way above them as well, so I think it's more than 1 point. But all of those lines are leading.
They're all converging.
Yeah. They are converging on him. They're converging on him hard.
Sorry, I was just doing drawings.
Yeah, it's okay, Pat. I know every now and then you need to get it out. And look at this, how powerful the Shredder is shown to be here. Like, that lazy gait, still keeping pace, while this character is running panicked. And everyone is only trying to hold him off here. Again, we're selling it with a low angle. Got that awesome floor plane, which is acting to show us that as the camera, we're actually kind of below the floor right now. The beauty of animation, you can put the camera wherever you want.
Oh, you just got obliterated there.
It is an economic way of having the camera travel in Z depth. If you hide the floor plane or have the floor plane come up like that, you don't have to have their feet contacting, so that if the movement of the background moves, they might be sliding, but here you can have that really feeling of like you're traveling really low to the camera, have that background elements like shift up.
Yeah.
And it's clever.
Every action board artist ever. Why you choosing them low angles?
It's clever. It's economic because you get to obscure those feet and also create the impression of the character being of a scale.
His little, I just realized now he's got like little shirt tails on the end of his where is it?
Oh
Right
yeah, there he is. Oh,
Nice.
what a dapper lad.
And also like the same thing with Splinter. Now his body barely moves, but those shirt tails do.
Yeah.
Because the wind is picking him up. Because the material is lighter than he is, and like that's what you create when you do that. You get a sense of material. That's what I mean by texture.
And that's probably why they put the material on the design, to be honest, is they wanted something that could be loose and be blown, because everything else on the shredder can't move in that way. Everything else is pretty solid, and you want to keep, as we were talking about, the bottom of the robes very solid because you want to obscure those feet.
Pinky Pink Art says, how can I as a beginner analyze like this too to get better? Is there a certain way to look on it?
Oh, there are so many things to think about. I mean, there's like a checklist of basic things you can look at, I think. Like staging.
A lot of it comes also with application. I think you need to start applying it too as an artist. And like that kind of opens your eyes to it, because it's it's like it'd be one thing to look at a bunch of different carpentry like items like chairs and stuff and be able to analyze it, and it's another thing to know it from the standpoint of someone who crafts chairs.
So
like you might be able to look at a bunch of dove joints and be like, that's good, that one's not so good, but like unless you've made one,
so
you don't know it intimately.
It's Mike's metaphor of don't just sharpen your sword, use your sword.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah,
give it a shot. Try boarding something yourself, and like keep looking at things like this as reference, and slowly you'll start to understand.
Does this technically work? Oh, that is the hotel. That does work.
Yes.
Okay.
There it is.
Why does he? Oh, that turns him around because he's still facing the direction of the hotel here. He's facing the hotel. He falls down.
And then he
There's
gets
the
up.
hotel behind him. So it turned him around. That's why I was getting a little confused there.
It's basically a cheat, but in motion, like you don't see it. Works perfectly well.
She's absolutely hitting. Like right now, because of what we've established with the hotel, I think the hotel is this way, but it's not. He's turned around. The hotel is that way.
Is that way?
Yeah, and you can see it here because what he does is he has to turn around to deliver the punch. Here he goes, he knocks her, and then, see, he spins around,
Yep.
and there's no hotel behind him here.
Yep, he's facing the hotel now.
For me, I was always feeling like it's happening so fast, but I always imagined, like, the way I was feeling it, I felt like the hotel should be there.
You can see the...
because they didn't... Yeah.
You can see the hookup in Leo's position, too.
This is what happens when you're a director. You look at something long enough and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I think I'd do this differently. Like, you'll look at, like, a Rembrandt, and you're like, I don't know about this.
Because Leo's in the background here, whereas he's in foreground when we have the Mystic Bat shot.
Can I say, like, this is the thing, right? This is it's a high piece of art, in my opinion. And if we weren't going frame by frame like this and analyzing it, no one in the audience caught this.
No.
Why would they? So it works, right? So like if we go through things and we find stuff like this, that does not mean it's not working.
Well, the main focus in this scene is the movement of all the characters, and the movement of all the characters hook up so seamlessly and so well.
Exactly.
That where the hotel is, either in front or behind in a given shot, isn't the focus of the shot. It's there to help
long as
us
the
keep
spirit of it.
orientated.
Exactly. Yeah. India, do you have control at all, or is it just me?
I can take control too, but I'm letting you do your
control.
thing. Well,
I feel like I'm all up on caffeine right now, and I feel like I've been ranting too quickly. So I want to relinquish some control.
oh man. I mean, you don't have to worry about ranting. Like, that's perfectly allowed. This is a rant stream where we get to just rant about this stuff.
All right. Let's rant.
All right. Let's
Grumpo is now in control.
Let's do it. I love how they keep the character's position pretty much consistent here. Like, we have him very slowly getting closer towards the camera, but we've got all these things flying in and out of the camera around him. Like, things are going in front of him, things are going behind him, like... It's amazing. What an amazing shot. Gosh, those effects too. Let me see if I can I go through? Where's my... How do I?
You alright there?
I'm looking for, there we go. There we go. Now I can go through frame by frame using my arrow keys.
Boop, boop.
I wonder how long it took him to board this sequence.
Oh my gosh, JJ might know
How many artists?
if he's still there. Where did the chain come from? Well, the chain is it's Mikey's weapon. So let's have a look. It's probably Mikey swinging in. So this is a chain coming in here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whipping across. So I'm assuming that Mikey is somewhere screen left here, off screen. And this is him kind of swinging in. He's probably behind the camera because this is him bringing in the massive... Mikey has a thing about throwing gigantic vehicles at enemies. I mean, it works. No complaints.
You're lurking.
Yeah. Like, nice use here of like just floor texture to show the movement continuing. We've got some camera shake going on too, which is real nice. I love this shot so much. It's just a great shot.
It's such a wonderful blend of like Japanese style or inspired action scenes, but there's also a sense of that there's that Disney quality to it. When you go to like some of the character reaction shots and some of that performance that's coming through, things are squishier, things are stretchier, and more expressive, and I'm like really into it.
Yeah. This is why grids are important, guys. It's because when you get to animate shots like this or board shots like this, you know, where is that vanishing point? Where is that perspective coming from? You know, the 1 point perspective is going to be what gives you the tool to draw this. Mm-hmm. Excuse my very bad 1 point perspective here. If only there was a line tool in this program.
Love it.
The green starfish.
Yep.
It's the grid is, it's like if you want to make something, you need a space at which to make it. You need a workbench, you need a table, and an animation, because it's an illusion, right? There is no table, no structure there, so you have to kind of create that first, and that's what that grid is. Before you construct your animation, you need to kind of set the stage for it.
Yeah.
So it is important.
Look at all the opportunities here that they're using to like really force that perspective. Like, look at this amazing arm shape here, how far the hand goes away from screen, and then we get April's face, and then look at this hand taking up almost the entire screen, and then the hand's away, and then we get the back coming forward.
That's really nice.
And we get this huge back coming towards the screen, and everything else is reduced. Beautiful. Yeah, again, like bending these rigid objects is a great way. Like, I've seen Patrick do that with sword swipes. Like, you use a wedge shape and sometimes curve the blade to give that sense of movement to it.
Oh, can you go back a little bit?
Yeah.
There's one there. Look at that. There's a shape for you.
Yeah.
Like the blur is so fast that it's starting to create a circle.
Yeah. And what this is essentially is it's the bat with speed lines, and we're seeing it loop around on itself. So you'll see this kind of shape a lot.
It's got like a Yoshinari kind of shape language to it.
Yoshinari.
Yeah, like my Little Witch Academia.
Ah, nice. Yes. Look at this. Look at how fast we cut the camera in here. This is more like a crash zoom than anything. This is probably masking a new shot.
The camera's got spacing.
Slow turn. And again, like we're mixing very fast dynamic motions with these beats of clarity where things slow down for a second. And that's something you'll notice about the Rise boards a lot, is that they have this really nice rhythm and dance between showing you something very fast and dynamic and then having these very clear moments and beats where you get one message very clearly delivered to you that keeps you like on track with what the sequence is saying.
Bonk.
It's like spectacle and story all woven together. And look at this, like, that's curving. He's just fine. Like, you know, Shredder is barely moving. And then we get that, like, release of the build-up of energy. Again, clarity and these eases versus super fast action and speed. And so much of this scene is about the environment reacting to the characters. And that really selling the sense of scale of the conflict. You know? Just getting these wonderful backgrounds where we get to see the destruction of the city.
I love how much Mikey pops in this scene here against that sort of like dark desaturated smoke. So these flame effects are like...
Yeah, some really nice value work going on.
They create lovely abstract shapes with the fire that like they're almost just purely designed to sell the motion.
Again, we have characters coming in from off screen. Everything's going in and out of this amazing like set that we have built up. Again, that moment of clarity. Fast motion.
I like that, like, the close-up of Shredder's eyes when he's in the hooded form, that the eyes have a little bit of extra texture to them.
Yes.
I like characters that have, like, different levels of detail depending on how far away or close-up you are.
It creates almost this swirling effect of his eyes. Like, I can almost imagine this kind of motion with them. Just from the way that
it makes it feel more real somehow.
Yeah. I think it would be much less effective if they were just circles. And again,
eyes are literally shredded around it.
Nice. Like, lovely forced perspective here. Coming up. Like, I love the way that so many of the shots are doing double duty, where a character will start in a position that's very readable and say one thing, and then end up in a completely different position that is still framed by the same shot, but says a different, like, delivers a different story point. It's just very efficient boarding.
Blending that cut there as well between the kind of spiritual face reveal and the pull out as well is super nice.
Yeah. Well, all this time, like, we're using this amazing, like, there's so much eye trace going on where it's like, we're looking here. We're still looking here. We're still looking here.
This is, I forgot what it was. There was some sort of video about Mad Max. The latest, the Fury Road, and how the director used eye tracing. And that's why so many things are composed in the center, where whatever extreme action is terminating in the first shot will begin in the same spot in the next shot. So that your eye doesn't have to dart around the screen. Your eye can kind of stay in the same place, so that when you have high intensity, super fast action, you're not getting confused, you're able to keep up with it. And it's because your eye doesn't have to really move, it just stays there and the motion plays where your eye is.
Yeah, so helpful for fast cuts.
I remember my first experience of watching the film Kick-Ass. We were the last ones into the theater, and so the only seats remaining were straight down in the front row to the left. And we were so close to the screen that I had to like turn my head to take in things happening on the screen, and I was exhausted by the end of that film.
Yeah.
Because I had to literally turn my head to take in where the new beats and everything were. Never again.
The worst cinema
I
experience.
loved the film, but I was just sort of like dying by the end of it.
This is like a great example of what I was talking about too, where we have like a shot set up to show one thing and deliver a message, which is the foot recruit recognizing Shredder as her master and being like, wait, master, is that you? And then the shot doesn't reframe, but we get her knocked out of shot, and it becomes about the Shredder turning around and delivering this punch behind. We could have had 2 different shots for that, but instead we frame it all within the one.
Ooh, see how the impact starts like centered on him, and then it actually, the force is in that lighting. It's communicated there. That's so nice.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Oh, beautiful impact frames, yeah.
Yeah, so gorgeous. Whoop. And then we get the Utapon cubes happening. He goes spiraling in there.
Do people understand what Utapon cubes are in the chat when we're saying that term?
Yes, that's a stylistic choice that people tend to make with large blocks of debris being broken apart and buildings being broken apart. It's something that a very, very well-known and great animator called Yutaka Nakamura kind of coined. He used to do that in all of his shots, and they kind of became known as Utapon cubes, named after him.
So there's
it simplifies the debris into basically cube-like shapes, and because cubes are simple to draw but also convey perspective and scale and all that very easily, they're quite effective as a way of like economically showing massive amounts of debris.
There's a question and answer back and forth. I just want to read out for you both.
Sure.
Drive Barn says, so when you're boarding and you're stuck on making an idea read clearer, what should be your first step to a creative solution? And I see that JJ's replied, so I'll read that out.
Oh, nice. Thanks, JJ.
So JJ says, honestly, if I'm stumped on what the most clear shot is for an idea, I find the most clear, boring angle that communicates the essential ideas for that shot. Then once I have something that reads, I try complicating it, push the angle, add framing elements, etc., and see how far I can push it before I lose the clarity.
That's a great piece of advice.
Yeah. I don't think I do it that way.
Go on, what's your solution?
To lament, to struggle and pull my hair out and just be like, I can't find the right angle. This sucks. Why am I using this focal length? Why would I use a 50mm on this? And then eventually, I'll do that for a week, and I'll find a shot.
Thumbnail.
I think that's really important, because it's like, what is it you are actually trying to show? Because you need to know that. You need to have that clear in your mind. So if you're trying to figure something out, you start with the, what do I need to show?
Yeah.
And then build up to, how do I show this in the way, like...
What's the idea? Yeah. Like what are you trying to convey? Because even in like, when you ask that, a lot of times people think you're being high concept about it. You're like, oh, what does it mean? And it's more about like, it's almost like writing a paper, or like if a action beat was a paragraph, right? You've got a conclusion, you've got an intro, you've got supporting statements, and those statements can simply be Shredder is fucking scary, or it can be, like the first thing is that like Shredder, the idea was Shredder is so dangerous that if he slices you, he can cut a city in half. Right? That's the idea. How do you convey that? And it's like, in the most effective way. And like, that's basically what all these do. And like, that's why like, even in other scenes, like when she hits him on the forearm with the bat, and then she gets a glimpse of his face, and the next shot is that same shot, but pulled out. But the extra information is that shockwave to show the impact, to sell the fact that he just weathered it and it didn't affect him. And like that's saying something. It's not saying something profound, but it's saying something to the to enhance the fight scene.
Yeah, it's giving you the most amount of information it can possibly give you in the shot. One thing that I've seen JJ do too is create like a list of bullet points almost of the things that need to be said in the shots. So if you're trying to say something, maybe try condensing it into a list of bullet points where you're like, okay, so this happens, then I need to tell the audience this, then they need to know this, then this needs to happen. And it gives you kind of a recipe list of things to hit. Like taking what JJ was saying here, and like I just want to call out like how great these shots are composed. Like I think it looks simple when you see it done, but the amount of thought that's put into these shots to make them read and to actually communicate the maximum amount of information you can is like really quite astounding. So if we were going to have a shot like this, and the point is that Foot Recruit sees that Big Mama is using the ring to control Shredder, right? So we just need a shot of her looking at the ring from her perspective. So the simplest way to do it is just to like, you show the ring on Big Mama's hand, right? And that's does the job. You know, that's Foot Recruit looking at the ring on Big Mama's hand. You know, the next step is like, can we like show more of Big Mama and the fact that she's invested in the battle and not concentrating on Foot Recruit? That's an extra layer that we can add in there that helps to deepen that shot and give it more context. So yeah, we can pull out a bit and still keep the ring like the biggest thing in shot so that we're seeing that. Okay, well, what other information can we show? Can we show the position of Foot Recruit? Okay, well, Foot Recruit is kneeling down, so she's on the floor, so this will be a low angle. So
because it's a point of view shot.
Yeah, so now we change it to a low angle and push that perspective slightly. And now we're both communicating like Big Mama's state of mind. We're communicating that she has the ring, and we're communicating the location of Foot Recruit. Okay, well, how about the previous shot? Well, Shredder just like whacked Draxum into that hotel, and this fight is going on, so let's have it revealed by some smoke so that we can see that like this is just after that hit has happened, and communicate when this shot happened as well. Okay, well, can we also use this shot to show that Draxum is being knocked into the hotel? Yeah, if we have Draxum knocked into the hotel here first and then like have Big Mama come in, then we can do that. Like, and all this stuff is being communicated in this one shot, and it's just layers upon layers of information and the clarity being pushed more and more to make things clearer and clearer.
A lot of like another benefit to doing all that in one shot is that like you save on time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not it shouldn't always be like that, right? Like if every shot was like that, it would be, they wouldn't stand out from one another. But like but yeah, I would say that like that's a thing that we do in fight scenes at Powerhouse a lot, is that like you try to keep an eye on shot count. One, when you're outsourcing to Korea, like things get charged by shot count, not always time code.
Mm-hmm.
But like if a scene has too many shots, it becomes difficult to follow. And so like reducing how many times you have a cut can help like give the audience a bit of a breather, but still keep momentum going.
Yeah.
And it's just economical a lot of the time.
Yeah. And also Rise has 10-minute episodes apart from the 20-minute specials. So there's like a serious time limit on this stuff. So the more efficiently you can communicate all your points, the better. And look how we get this wonderful zoom in too, to reframe the ring. And then we get a little bit of effects animation on it just to be like, this is what we're looking at. This is the thing.
This.
And we even link up the colour of that ring with the glint in Foot Recruit's eyes here.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
So we know exactly what she's looking at.
Artistically, it says flash.
And we get back to Draxum, who's been rolling for 5 minutes.
Yeah, still rolling. Roll high. Like, we've gone through these amazing shots. Like, this is such a great sequence. Aw,
There's
Shreddy.
so much to like about it.
Yeah.
If you want to refresh,
I hope everyone in the chat is learning a lot.
I've uploaded the boards for this sequence. If either of you are interested in.
Oh, I see him at the end there. Yeah.
Okay, let me have a look, because Pat has been through a lot of this stuff already, so
Just letting you know that I did that in the background.
nice. So continuing with where we were
one?
at.
This one starts a little earlier as well, yeah. Okay, you're cool. You're good.
Yep. I'm gonna push to where we were. I think it might end before we get to that part.
It's interesting to see the difference too.
Yeah, it is.
Like what's being communicated on the boards and how that was enhanced in the animation. This was Tom Barkle, who did like a minute of this fight stuff, I think, animation-wise.
Yeah, I
Amazing.
think he said he was like from 0 to 1 minute 11 when he quote retweeted it. I might be wrong, but I think, yeah.
Well,
These,
sorry, go ahead, Pat.
oh, I was just gonna say I'm looking at the board drawings and I think that like everything in a production is related, and I was just saying that like the visual development, the character designs have obviously allowed for these boards to be so dynamic, and yeah, that like these nice simple but striking forms, like such good silhouettes.
Yeah.
The triangle legs and stuff is something that like I think the visual development of the characters like helped facilitate that.
Yeah, well, there's some great shots from far away where even on finished frames, turtles just have like triangle legs. They just have Dorito legs.
Are they using the pencil tool? I think they are.
The pencil tool? No way.
I think that's pencil. I don't think that's brush.
Really?
I think so. Which is, if you're resizing things in Storyboard Pro, pencil tool is better because you can actually select the lines and increase or decrease their thickness.
That's true. I never use
Harder
it.
to paint bucket though.
I'm a brush person. And look, you can see here.
I know you are.
Of course you do. You can see here like the way that the border here is just basically skewing this. You can see the little line divides here where they've taken the fill and selected it, and then they're like skewing it to get this head turn happening. So like lots of like really nice shortcuts where they're reusing drawings, but getting the movement in there.
Let's play through this. Let's play through it once.
Okay.
So folks can see the boards.
So I think this starts a little earlier, as Mike was saying.
Yeah.
So here you go,
Cool.
guys.
Let's have you play it, India.
How do I play it?
You just hit the play button.
Oh,
I think you
okay.
just did. Yeah.
I thought you meant switch over my screen because yours was lagging a bit.
No. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
you notice this actually has a previous sequence number. It says sequence 7. It'll switch to 8. Yeah, this is a different board artist, it looks like. Such strong silhouettes.
Very simple drawings, but very readable.
Legibility, man, that's important. Legibility and proportion. Proportions are on point.
You guys can't hear this, but I think the board artist has put in their own music track as well, which is pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
This is the first shot of the next sequence. Is this big fight scene?
Oh man.
Wow.
Oof.
That's fun to know. Like sequence 8, start on like this gigantic animated scene.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, have fun. You can see how the board style got a little bit different too. The way they treat the line work and the characters. Oh, beautiful perspective. So much motion.
Yeah.
And a lot of like grabbing parts of the character and skewing it and just adding an extra frame.
Yes. Like I want to call out this little bit I saw, which has
Very
like a really
good.
nice shortcut. Where is it? It's here. So here.
Oh, I just realized. Wait, look how big she is there.
Yeah, I think that's meant to
realized
be
that.
forced perspective. I'm assuming.
Oh.
JJ is saying this is all Kevin
Yeah.
Moriarty's except for the few really small revisions, the Big Mama
Okay.
shot with the ring, for example.
So this might be the difference between like Kevin when he's proofed up some shots and Kevin when he's like roughed them in.
Gotcha.
Can I control real quick?
You can. I just wanted to say like this little ring of impact here is really nice. The way that basically they've just drawn this one ring and then they've given it a motion blur upwards to give it this kind of feeling of perspective, and then it's just being scaled slowly.
Nice.
Yeah.
So is that a good shorthand?
Works so well, though.
Is that something you've used?
It's something I'd like to use more.
I want to. How do I scroll?
You can use your arrow keys.
Oh, there it goes. I just wanted to compare real quick. I wanted to see. Where is it? Where did she do it? Here it is.
Here it is.
Aha! Look at the scale difference all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Look
Yeah.
at that. And then
Shredder
go to
is
this
much
one.
bigger.
Yeah. That's just a fun thing to notice. Things do change. You know, it's not always one for one. Boards into, as long as the idea is brought across.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is all
Sorry, you
storyboard.
can continue. That's all I wanted to point out.
This is all storyboard artistic Leo. I think Kevin in particular is known to go very hard on his boards in terms of the frame count and such. Also, the camera movements add a lot of smoothness, and the fact that we have like nice little shortcuts like this where something is always moving even when there's a held drawing in the middle. So this is one drawing, this shot here. Nothing is moving on the two characters. Everything that's moving is the camera in the background. So using little tricks like
I
that.
like to zoom his camera a lot.
Yeah. Like,
He likes to like zoom very subtly, like in and out.
There's also like a down and up as well, so that you feel the impact of the thing.
well, the camera's always motivated, and it's also always like following the movement and leading your eye to the next place.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to say it. It's like the camera is motivated by what's being shown.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you should describe what you mean by that when you say motivated.
I mean, often, rather than, you don't want to just move your camera around willy-nilly for the sake of it. You want your camera to always have a point. Like, think of your camera almost like a character or a storytelling device in your scene. So, for example, rather than, have a camera whip off for no reason, like, you'll want to whip it to show the direction something is in relation to the shot that you're showing. Or you'll want to whip it because a character turns their head to look at something off screen and you're following that character's eye line. Or you'll want to whip it because something has swiped past the screen and you're following that movement. There always needs to be like a reason for your camera to do what it's doing and something that you're trying to convey through it.
Like a why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of mimicking human eye movement and reaction, right? Like, if a giant huge foot comes crashing down when it hits the floor, the camera, as if it's on that floor, is probably going to go down before it comes up.
Yeah, it's going to shake, right? And the distance the camera is from the foot.
Thing,
and the distance the camera is... Sorry, go ahead, Pat.
No, I was just going to say, like unless it's like a seesaw thing where, like, the idea is that, like, it going down pushes you up or something, like, but, like, it does need to react to physics, and then kind of like what you were saying with the eye line. If you see someone, if you're looking at someone you're having a conversation with and they look left, then you look left. You don't do it at the exact same time if you don't know it's happening. So the camera can be reactionary to the action, which makes the action feel faster than the camera can catch up with.
Yes. If you have the camera like trail a couple of frames behind. And also I was just going to say, in terms of the example with the foot hitting the floor and then the camera shake, like, think about how far your camera is from that foot too. Like, is it going to shake immediately? Or is it going to be a shockwave that comes out of the foot and hits the camera a few frames later? Because little things like that can communicate a lot about where you're placing your camera.
Yeah, you can use time to show distance. Like, that's like as if someone's holding the camera. Think of the camera as like an additional character to the scene. Gives it personality. I know in the game God of War that was recently released, they went for a sort of documentary style over-the-shoulder camera, and they intentionally had it like move slightly after a lot of Kratos' attacks to show that it's a reactionary camera rather than one that's knows what's about to happen.
Yeah. A lot of this looks very animated, and it is, but it's also a bunch of very, very clear poses that are skewed and cycled and used in very efficient ways.
I'm gonna start doing triangle limbs. I absolutely love them.
They're fun.
So good. It's like, well, it's just a simple enough shape. Where's some, like, got some good ones here, and like this run. But like, there's this term that we use a lot at Powerhouse called mannequining, like making mannequins of characters, which is basically like, if you've got, like, this is a mannequin, right? There's no features. Really, all the information that you're getting there is kind of like Shredder's a mannequin too. This is the Shredder mannequin, where he doesn't have the cloth between the legs. He's kind of just this body, but he has the head shape. Like, his proportions are on point. But like mannequining usually has also some extra information that you might not get, like a center line on the torso, right? You might get some crotch lines, might get like a knee, chin, but like these nice triangle shapes are so good at indicating perspective, because it's like, all right, triangle, here we have a triangle forearm, right? Triangle forearm's coming at you. Triangle looks like this now.
Yes.
Forearm's going away from you. Triangle looks like this now. It's like so simple and effective. For like, if this arm's supposed to be coming back as he's running, you just put the triangle back there.
Yes.
And so it develops a really strong shorthand, and the result of the shorthand is something that you can hand off to an animator, where they're like, I have all the motion information I need in terms of like how to move this character. And obviously there's this lacking expression, it's lacking other things about the model. Like, this actually doesn't look like it's on model with Draxon too much. And I think you can see that, like, the animator probably took that, where is it? Where is that shot? Here it is. Yeah, you can see, like they really added a lot of information.
Yeah, the posing was very clear
not the same
in the boards, but the animator would have had to interpret that.
You can see he had some fun with it, though.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people, like, use these kind of mannequins to animate with, though, and to board with, is because you basically want something which is very fast to draw, very, very clear, and has all the waypoints you need on it. That's why center lines are so important, to show twists and such.
Yeah, like, sometimes people will draw heads as boxes too, right? And I will say that, like, the lack of expression is something you normally see in, like, a fight scene.
Yes.
You don't see it too much in, like, because emotion's very important, right? You want to see what the character is expressing. But like in the thing like this, you have to think about what is your bandwidth to complete this, and so what information is more important.
Yeah, and we're saving the expressions for when we really need them too. Like the shots where they are on character reactions, you'll see the faces in there, but not necessarily on the shots where the characters are running or, slicing or doing anything which is a heavy amount of action.
I like the
size
on their shredder. the little bubble faces.
His little beam body too.
Sackman.
Here, I'm gonna give him a
ridiculously pushed expressions in some of Kevin's boards.
Yeah, but again, it's clarity, isn't it? Because then the animator takes that and they go, "Oh, I know what this character's feeling." Okay, how pushed can I make that and keep it on model?
Even more. Yeah.
They did, didn't they? They made the foot way larger.
Yeah, the foot was like bigger, and like I think his like body was like way back here too.
Yeah, you could see his other foot on the floor. Woohoo! Yeah! Peace.
This is what board artists do, by the way. We're doing silly faces all the time. There's one of the greatest joys I have at Powerhouse is we have sport artist. We have a few. Giselle, Abby are the ones that tend to add silly drawings in their scenes.
Yes.
And so there's
always sport artists like that.
Yeah. Like you'd be like boarding on, you see watching a board on Seismonos, and then off on the side you'd be like you'd see like a little doodle of the same character doing something silly, or see them inject something. There was one where like we were passing, it was like after a character died, and we're like and we're like passing through some objects, and then they'd drawn a little tiny version of the character within the object that the camera was passing by, and it just said, "I'm alive." It was so good.
Yeah, I have a couple of people on Mystic Crystal who like to like put little caricatures in their animation scenes, which is really fun. A lot of like off-screen Kevin doodles of people doing stuff, and a lot of briny cleanup doodles where a horse head will go off screen and then just have the derpiest expression because it's not going to be in the camera view. Wasn't board artist on Rise always drawing a random alligator in scenes? Oh man, Pen, I wouldn't know. Maybe JJ knows. I hadn't heard of that. That's hilarious, though.
How do you draw Draxum again?
You got it. That's it. You get the high cheekbones in there, the low mouth. Then he's got his he doesn't actually have his horns, they're part of his mask, but he has his little ears.
Like a high hairline.
Yeah.
Ears like this.
That's him. That's a Draxum.
Here we go.
Does he have a chin dimple? I can't remember.
Now he does. Executive decision.
Handsome goat yokai. Or is he a sheep? I think he's a sheep.
He doesn't have horns, does he? Yeah, like nice, simple shapes. Triangle smears. Gotta have your triangle smears. Right? The back is going up this way, the front's coming down this way, so we have a tail on this one to indicate that this is the front part, right? Almost like a hammer or an axe. Like, this is the part that, like, it's going this direction, so this is the part where it smears. Here's where the flat part is. Same thing here, flat part, because it's going that direction, trail.
Yeah. Again, like, how fast can we communicate this idea? Like, how simple can we make the drawing? Yeah, I'm warning to people in chat, like, this is a season 2 episode, so if you guys are trying to avoid spoilers, we are looking at like a variety of different storyboards today from different parts of the show, so just be aware if you don't want to see anything from the show without having seen it.
Or if you want to immediately rush off to go watch the show, we
yeah,
fully understand.
I would in fact recommend that you immediately go off and rush and watch the show. That's something I would encourage you all to do.
So good. Sorry, I'm just gushing over it.
Feasting your eyes. I mean, I think
I love this right here. This is some nice, like, body mechanics perspective. Like, there's some beautiful motion happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Just like things like this, right? This arm is obscured, right? Because, like, it's behind her. It's behind her body there. So you wouldn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, there's this wonderful twisting motion that this is doing. So the shoulder's coming back, this shoulder's coming forward, her head's doing a whole thing.
Yeah, and you can see the center line still on some of the drawings.
JJ says...
Oh, and there you go, just moving the drawing.
That was Sheldon Vela. He had a running gag in their games where throughout the years, Donnie kept getting attacked by an alligator. Unfortunately, the gag got cut for time.
Oh, I'm so sad that got cut! Oh, Sheldon, that's hilarious.
What's going on?
Apparently there's Sheldon Vela, who's one of the board artists for the show, put a running gag in an episode called Lair Games, which is an amazing episode, one of my favourites, where Donnie keeps getting attacked by an alligator throughout the years of participating in the competition. But it got cut for time, that gag. So in the boards there's an alligator that keeps popping up through the years and attacking Donnie. That's so good.
Just looking at this moment here with like the hand and like seeing like moving the drawings, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the things I really like about watching these boards is there's it's almost like playing with Legos a little bit. Like they give themselves the materials or the assets, the pieces they need to move around.
Mm-hmm.
And with like a lot of that skewing, and like that's how you get those extra frames without needing a lot of extra time. Is you just take this drawing right here, and here he just, they just skew it up.
Yep. Does the job.
They just took that bounding box and like made another frame and just skewed it some more.
Yeah. It's all one drawing, and then it's got a blur on it, and then we have. I think they might have just rotated that drawing. In fact, yeah, that's just rotated.
Yeah, I think this is just rotated. Yeah.
But it does a job.
Gotta be smart.
Yeah. I mean, well, when you have to, board things like this in just like a couple of weeks. This is like an intense amount of work. To be clear, like this is a huge amount of work. And boarding, like you don't just do it. It takes a lot of brain power to figure out like the best way to tell the story too, and what shots you should use before you even start drawing.
Yeah, a lot of what you're seeing here is kind of a mixed responsibility of storyboarding and then editing and almost like an animatic artist brought together.
A good way to show, like, look how much bigger he is and where he's positioned, which shows that he's going from here to here. Here, like, it's a perspective move. Because, like, here's how big his arm is, right? So that means his head is off screen here.
Yeah.
But it's gigantic. It's like, look how big that arm is. So that means the next drawing, here he is. Arm's not so big, he's coming in, but we're still getting this perspective. So it went from, like, arm here to, like, his body here, and then his body's going to be here. So it's this, like, perspective-y arc.
Like really forcing that and exaggerating it to make him feel immense. You know, because the bigger he is when he comes in, like the more perspective we have on him, the more immense he feels.
Oh, good.
Get them cubes!
Cool.
Them cubes.
And then we get this nice little cycle here, just to show that the screen's wiping up. That's like what, maybe 3 drawings. Again, though, like all these compositions, like with the grids and everything, and the position that the camera's in, all working so well to sell the drama of what's happening in the background, as well as keeping the focus on what the story point is in the foreground.
And I noticed that, like, throughout all of this, these are all just drawn backgrounds. Like, we use 3D models to get a lot of our background stuff. And, like well, they drew that background.
Yeah.
A lot of squares, simple perspective, right? This car is now a square because it's not important to the story, and it just needs to be here.
Yeah. It's great though, again, like adding depth there to have something in the foreground, because I didn't have to put that car there.
I have to say that in Storyboard Pro, it has my most favorite straight line drawing tool.
Oh, the straight line drawing tool is great, isn't it?
It's so intuitive to use.
Oh
yeah. Because you'll draw out in a line and you'll drag it around until you like remove the pen, but it also like gives you pen pressure as well along the length of the line. Just so good.
Patrick is charmed by this shorthand.
It's like it's this little boop on the face, and it's like that's your perspective. There's your nose.
Yep.
Who needs a grid? No one needs a grid because you can just like put a cheek.
And there you go.
There you go. Yeah. And Draxum doesn't have it, so he gets the cheekbones. Draxum is like this. So that's how you tell Draxum.
It's all about where you put his eyes and his mouth on Draxum.
How many cheekbones you see? Oh, I only see one cheekbone. He must be looking this way. So fast.
But it works.
I never draw characters that fast anytime I'm drawing somebody.
I think Powerhouse is a bit more stringent, aren't they, on keeping the characters on model for your boards?
Yeah, we kind of have to be, but like, God, I'm trying to remember El Balde's face. El Balde had like a kind of a crazy face. There is a Powerhouse cheek line or jawline though, and that's the 3-line sweep. 1, 2, 3. There you go. That's your anime chin. Right. That could be Trevor. That could be Alucard. Like everyone's got that 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. I noticed you're doing like a nice little S curve as well there on the bottom of the jawline.
God, it's been a while since I've drawn El Balde.
Ah, nice moustache. There he is, the man himself. The man, the myth, the legend.
Giant.
Is that his arm? I thought that was just his arm then, Patrick, like he had a tiny arm that is triangle shaped.
No, oh my god. Shoulder. There you go, he's got someone resting on him.
It's his collar. Okay. Aw, JJ. Yeah, JJ says we were spoiled with Flying Bark, which is the animation studio, because we knew our off-model boards would come back beautiful. Yeah, Flying Bark, man, they hit it out of the park. They're incredible.
I'll hire them.
Like,
let's make a show, India, and we'll hire Flying Bark.
Oh
and
my
then we'll
gosh.
steal all the parts from
Don't tempt
TMNT,
me.
and then we're gonna get the best people ever.
I think that the writers of TMNT and Flying Bark, again teaming up, would be the best team ever to do a Sonic the Hedgehog series. I'm just saying. Not that I have a vested interest or anything, but I'm just saying.
I don't know, JJ, do you have any interest in Sonic the Hedgehog?
Not to put you on the spot or anything. Oh, in my dream of dreams.
But I would love to just get together at some point, just talk about boarding styles and things like that.
Oh
so
my
I am
goodness.
very interested in this.
Yeah, I mean, for what JJ says about the boards being off-model, like, everything in these boards is so clear. Like, the posing is so clear.
They're on point. That's what matters.
You know, these are an animator's dream to work from, because all the information you need is right there.
Mm-hmm. I love simplifying characters into these like shapes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like it's just a couple blocks, right? If you're doing a character flipping, like try doing a character flipping who's just made up.
There he goes.
Like limbs like that.
Yeah.
Because if you can make that look appealing, like just things like how this foot is leading, this one's dragging, right? So like if he wasn't hit by this, like it looks like his next pose would probably be down like this, right?
Yes, like there's beautiful asymmetry going on in the posing. Nothing is just like, no character is just standing in their like straight arms down, straight legs down position.
Like stick the landing.
This character, like character oozes from all of the Rise boards.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's one of the things is like there's a real priority in character acting, and every single shot you see, like you'll see poses unique to those characters and reactions unique to those characters, and that's one of the things that really shines through in the show. I think is like this focus on like the way that JJ put it when he explained it was a specificity in the way that they handled the characters and the posing that was unique to Rise.
You were
unique to
saying
the characters.
that there's a lot that's shown about the way the characters react to things that isn't explicitly told in the dialogue. They don't say how they're feeling.
It's not in the script, it's in the acting. Like, can I just talk for a second about how much I love the fact that Rise has brought back physical comedy to animation in an age where it feels like so many modern shows are focused on delivering jokes solely through the dialogue. Like, in Rise, just the way...
Animated radio.
Yeah, in Rise, just the character expression or the way they move across the screen can have me in stitches. And there are so many little loving touches in the background to the way the characters are reacting in the background or what they're doing while other characters are like doing the main action. Like, every time I watch the episodes, there's something new that I see that adds character to everyone in the show. And it is all really specific to the characters. Like, it's wonderful. Like, there's so many layers to it. There's so much to dig into, and there's so much love and care put into like every aspect of that, because every single shot, the characters are like bringing what's unique about their personalities.
They're being themselves, and they're very, as you said, specific.
And it makes it feel alive, because the characters aren't just waiting for everyone else to deliver their lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
Like the way they hold themselves or what they're up to in the background, or like even just, again, the way that a character will scramble across the screen. There's so much life in it and so much personality in it. And again, like just the physical comedy is off the chart with this show. It's so funny. Like, not only are the jokes in the writing and the dialogue funny, but like the physical action is hilarious.
Do we have a board that's a little less
dramatic?
Yeah.
We do. We have the Gumbus. We also have Shadow of Evil. Mystic Library is a great one for comedy as well.
There's some great stuff in there.
Yeah. Like, I'd kind of like to hit Shadow of Evil next.
Yeah, you want to take the lead on that?
Oh man, no pressure. I mean, yeah, sure. I just think it's a great fight. It's a great fight, and it's got a lot of comedy in it too.
Booty.
Booty. That's what? That's her. Booty.
Alright, you better wrestle control from Patrick then.
Patrick's having a great time. Patrick's getting all the muscle definition. Look at this muscly boy.
Your latissimus and dorsi, gotta get that. Pectorals, abdomens, extender muscles. Fucking anatomy class, man.
Yeah.
I know what a xiphoid process is now.
Little splayed legs. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, like I could have just been like.
Oh, do we have the fish and ladders fight on here, Mike?
There you go. I'm just taking a step.
I don't know, but if you want it, I can find and grab it.
I want it.
Okay.
Fish and ladders. One day there'll be a board game called Fish and Ladders, which is the TMNT version of Snakes and Ladders.
Okay, I think.
So this is Shadow of Evil?
Yes. So the conceit behind this scene, and please everybody close your ears if you haven't got to this part yet, because I'm about to explain something that's a spoiler. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. 4,
hold on.
3, 2, 1. Okay, so the conceit behind this scene is that Splinter is in disguise as a member of the Foot Clan, and his sons, the Turtles, don't know. They think he's just a foot mook, so they're about to have a fight with him and underestimate him, essentially. The Foot Clan have told him to fight them, and he doesn't want to blow his cover, so he's going to do it without hurting them. And yeah, basically, the Turtles go into it overconfident.
Is that end of spoiler time?
That's end of spoiler time.
End of spoiler time. Okay.
So there's lots of great character
Clear.
acting in here. You're good.
I like how they color code the characters too.
Yeah, makes it very
In
clear.
a fight scene, that's very, very helpful.
Especially when you have so many characters.
I've just linked to Kevin's YouTube. There's boards on there that you can check out.
Yeah, in fact, you can check out Kevin's student boards on his YouTube as well, which is super cool. Like, it's very inspiring to see where he came from. Again, look at this posing.
I wonder how many people are like...
It's like so character specific, the way that like each of them are stood.
It hurts me.
I wonder how many people are like wishing that we had gone into this much detail on these boards before they were supposed to turn in their Anna Morning challenge.
Hey man, they've still got a couple of hours. I mean, sometimes it's great to be able to look at your work in retrospect, though.
Yeah. Give it a shot, learn something, then you can analyze your own work and come back to it informed.
Yeah. I like these little excerpts that we nabbed from the Nickelodeon YouTube channel too, because you get to see off the board and you get to see the finished thing, so you can see what the animators have added.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like
I like his big, his shoes.
yeah, his big platform shoes. Again, look at nice character shorthands. Like all the grids are in there, showing you exactly where you're at with each scene. I love that shot. So fun. Look at this.
Chan moment there.
The little ninja star shuriken around his head.
Mm-hmm.
There's a moment where Raph says something along the lines of, "Look at this, someone of the same height as Dad telling us that we need like something," and just like, oh Raph.
Oh, Raph. Using his own son's strength against them. Then again, we get like reframing the same shot to show something different. Just a simple enough expression to like show everything you need to know.
Are these rough or clean boards, or like what state? Like was this what was sent to Flying Bark? If I can ask that, I don't know if I can.
I believe they were, yeah. Nickelodeon would show the finished boards on the channel.
Yeah, these are grabbed from like Nick's YouTube channel.
Yeah. I think the boards at Powerhouse have a very tight from what I've seen. Like they're more like layouts or keyframes.
Pidgey says these are the shipping boards.
Oh, there's a nice shot there. So every now and then, what you'll see in some boards, especially if they're getting shipped, is you'll have a mixture of kind of shorthand characters like this, right? But then you'll have like one or two shots, especially if it's a still, where they'll really like flesh it out and add like lighting information and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a shot in here like that.
Nice split screen. That's something that they do in the show a lot that I really dig. Ah, nice little sweep reveal there with Draxon's hand. Love that.
Yeah,
really
right
nice
here.
staging.
Where you like walks in.
Yeah, because you know you want to communicate the drama in that shot.
Yeah, an exhaust pipe abdomen
Yeah,
thing going on.
his muscly pipes.
What a crazy design.
Hinky Art spoiler time is over. I don't know if you can hear me. But
I typed into the chat because otherwise.
Fair enough. Like, I love how much they use the environment in the fights in this show. Like, it reminds me so much of like the old Jackie Chan movies. All the fight choreography is so like, it's so inventive and creative. It's never just characters punching one another.
A little bit.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
He does a ton more.
Too.
Look at that. He's going for it.
Animator had fun with that one.
Just punched it up. Speaking of punching.
I like this. I like that. Like the board artist added like, even though he's basically like a flour sack, they added like a little bit of. He's got like his hips.
He's got that swagger going on.
Yeah, so you do have like, they are paying attention to the direction of which his weight is being put.
So smooth.
These are much simpler. Oh, that's great. I love this one right here.
Yeah.
Again, using the
pants.
The clothing. Yeah.
Like such
kind
simple
of, like,
lines. But so clear. Like that posing is great.
I'm sorry that I put credits in the right hand side, but it looks like it's cropped. So I apologize for that.
Okay, well, JJ Conway directed this episode along with Kevin Molina Ortiz, apparently.
Cool.
So, JJ, great job, man.
Director Alan. Oh, okay, yeah, there, I see it.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. Studying Jackie Chan. Oh, the master. I love Jackie Chan fights so much. They're so funny and so action-packed too. Like, you know,
that was like the main inspiration on that Seis Manos wheelbarrow fight. Was just trying to emulate Jackie Chan.
Yeah, well, it's so much more fun when you're using your environment, and also when you have something like an obstacle in your way, and that's something that Jackie Chan does a lot. Is, you know, it's like in the Fish and Ladders fight, like the conceit is that you have to fight using only fish and ladders. So what can you do with only fish and ladders? And you know, here the conceit is that you don't really want to hurt the people you're fighting, and you also don't want to reveal yourself to either party. And
well,
then
it's like when you think of a good fight scene. What you remember is you remember the clever moments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Jackie Chan fight scenes are so memorable because you think of that time where he was fighting inside of a ladder, or when he was using, you know, like whatever tool he had available. He's fighting with a sofa. He's like that was kind of the conceit of his films. But like when you think of even things like the Raid, when I think of the Raid and like the memorable moments from that, it's things like the kid with the baseball bat from Raid 2, or it's that one time when he like kicked a guy's legs out from under him who was standing on the table. The guy lands on the table and flips forward into something, and it's like these little moments of cleverness and using the environment, and it's the game of it,
yes.
Right? The back and forth, the tactics, the strategy,
exactly, because
that you get to see play out in real time.
Because in the end, a fight scene isn't just about who punches harder; it's also a mind game, and there has to be like an upper and lower hand that's constantly changing. You know, in order to keep the tension. It's like a game of chess. You're telling a story.
I think that's why like a lot of like Western fight scenes are kind of catching up a little bit compared to, you know, a lot of like anime. Is because, you know, you look at like 1950s and like movies and like where like we started getting like more fight scenes, and it's all dudes grabbing each other by the shirt collar and then punching someone.
Yeah.
Right, and even still, like when you see people who have a very Western background start to get into more interesting fights, you still do get a little bit more of that tempo. There's a very Western tempo to fight scenes that I try to avoid, which is, I'm going to throw my punch, you're going to duck it, then you're going to throw your big punch, and I'm going to dodge it.
It's very even, isn't it?
Like, yeah, like even in like the Marvel films, as like great as a lot of those fight scenes are, they still have that kind of tempo.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of just a one back and forth, and it's a slug fight. Like it just kind of comes out to that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a slug fight with more interesting things being utilized.
And it's never interesting when the end of a fight is just like who can punch the hardest. Like there's no nuance to that. A fight should be a conversation between the two characters, like a dialogue, where there's always exchanges happening between the two characters. There's statements and retorts, and there's questions and responses.
Have you seen the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock films?
discombobulate.
Yes, that one.
You know I have, because I keep discombobulating you.
Yes. They interestingly show like he's forward planning what he's gonna do, and then it kind of shows how he would go through. There's an interesting part in the sequel where he meets someone who can do that as well, and you see them both play out like it's a staring contest where they're like showing how they would gain the upper hand in a fight.
It's almost like a chess game where they're having to think several moves more ahead than they usually would.
Yeah. I just
or like the Sonic movie where he's like, you know exactly what I'm going to do before I do it, and
yes, Sherlock Holmes too. Exactly
same
like
thing.
The Sonic movie.
Same movie. Strange, isn't it? Oh, Sonic. I see you there, Patrick.
What?
Just
What?
getting that anatomy in there. Found a fun pose, have we?
Listen. Understanding that I have a problem is the first step to healing.
I don't think it's a problem. I think it's great.
But yeah, and I should also specify, I talked a little bit about the tempo of Marvel fights. I do think the Marvel fights are some of the more interesting ones of the different universes. I think the DC ones are the ones that really do just come out to like I have command of the sea and I will use it to punch you really hard, but with the sea.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to my favorite fights from the Avengers films is the wizard battles. Like those are the most interesting ones.
Yeah, like I find it most interesting when you have a character that has a very specific thing that they either have to work with or a very specific strength that they use or a power. And then the interest comes into interplay between how their power or skill interweaved with the person they're fighting's power or skill.
Yeah.
Like there have to be like established strengths and weaknesses. And luckily Rise has done such a good job of building its characters and giving them nuance and like a lot of strength in the writing that we know what all these characters' strengths are. But then again, here's the conceit of the fight. So does Splinter.
Yes.
Exactly.
Hey.
And he's still trying to teach them in this fight.
Yeah, he is. He's like, look, you shouldn't do this. Stop doing that. Do this more.
Don't be overconfident.
Yeah, I mean, so the fight is acting as character development in itself. Like, guys, this show is so good. It does so many things, and it does them all so well. Oh,
Y'all should watch it.
everybody watch it so I can geek out with you, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, if you want to hold a conversation with India, you have to at least watch.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is it now.
But you were saying to me that through the years, there's only certain things that have really like hit you this much.
Yes.
One of them being Avatar, and then this.
Yeah, this is like I'm very picky when it comes to shows, which is not a good thing. I just find that I see a lot of shows kind of fall into the same kind of traps very often, and it means that I go into shows with a certain degree of pessimism that I don't necessarily want to go into them with, but I do. And there's only I can count on one hand the number of shows that have changed the way that I view making shows and animation and boarding and writing, and this is one of them. This is Avatar was the last one to do that, and that was 18 years ago. So to give you guys an idea of how much I like this show.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're doing a lot of things in here that I think a lot of animators probably wanted to do, but didn't quite know how, or didn't feel that they had because it's an ambitious show. Make no doubt about it.
Yes, it's
there's a lot of ambition in here, and I don't know how the hell they did it.
It's hugely ambitious, yeah.
Probably with a lot of work hours.
Yeah, and a lot of passion, I think, as well. A lot of people really putting in more than 100% to everything. I think that's what really shows through with this show, though, is you can tell that the people making this show, they care about it so much. because it shows through in the level of care and attention that's given to every episode. But yeah, no, Worms, unfortunately, Sonic isn't actually one of my 5 on my fingers, even though Sonic is my favourite character ever. I couldn't actually tell you that any of the Sonic shows are good enough to have like changed my perspective on how shows should be written or animated. I feel like Sonic just has a lot of potential and a lot of pieces throughout the franchise that are really, really good individually, but no one piece has really like used that potential to the fullest, I don't think.
So simple.
Yeah.
These are very simple.
Those expressions get me every time. You get these nice shots here. You know, this show actually does horror extremely well. In lovely shots where we have
chains. I'm so tired of chains.
Are you having to do a lot of chains yourself?
We never had chains on again.
Are you having to do a lot of chains on what you're working on right now?
Not right now, no. Castlevania had a few.
Oh my gosh, it didn't it? Yeah, all of Trevor's weapons.
Yeah, the Morning Star, and had to figure that business out.
Ugh. I mean, I noticed you guys had a chain brush, right? That you used for the final cleanup.
We did, yeah. That was I forgot who came up with that, but someone developed it for us, and it was like, thank you so much.
Thank goodness. Like, again, the camera's doing a lot of work here as well. And just look at all the character that's in this, you know, look at...
Where's that face? I saw that. I thought that was a mouth at first. I thought
Me
it was
too.
Like...
It's the tiny little happy mouth.
Look at how protective Leo is here.
Yeah. This Leo's legs are just everywhere.
Oh yeah.
JJ is saying this was Kevin's 4th board for the series, and I think his 5th professional storyboard.
Oh, bloody hell.
Really?
Woo.
Wow.
Wow, Kevin, stepping it up.
Up the ante, didn't he?
So from the
these are great, but these are definitely like, way rougher than the other ones.
From the dynamic I've seen, were you saying there was Sheldon Vela who was kind of like boarding on the show? So good.
Okay, sorry, what were you saying? They got me.
I think there was Sheldon Vela who worked on boarding TMNT as well as a big inspiration for, I think, the way that Kevin has developed his approach to boarding. And I say it's really cool to see how Kevin has, you know, grown over his time boarding on this show.
Yeah, Sheldon's also incredible. We should see if we can get that that endgame fight that Sheldon boarded up on here.
If someone links it to me, I'm not sure which one.
Sure.
I can link it to you. I think I actually have it open in a tab. I was just staring at it, you know, as you do.
I want to get like
Excuse
some of
me?
our board artists
India
from Powerhouse and get some of
I was looking at people climbing out of sewers for reasons.
So this here is a sequence that was cut from
so good.
Battle Nexus.
Got it. Okay, let me send that over to you.
Reusing drawings, but very effectively.
I'm gonna just link it into the Twitch chat, Mike.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Sorry, I was just linking Mike to something.
Very effective use of drawings, but like look at how they like even as they're bouncing this drawing up and down, they're changing its scale to sell the perspective as it gets closer.
Got leg too. Chunk leg. Chunk.
Because like as it gets closer, that perspective takes over, and this gets bigger faster than the parts that are far away. Because that's kind of like how like moving a perspective works, is the spacing's closer far away, and then as it gets closer, the spacing increases.
It's exactly the
and
same.
That can happen,
it's exactly the same as that amazing Splinter shot that we called out in the Battle Nexus boards. It's the same as like April receiving the bat. It's like the force perspective in this show is like super strong. And it's all on the same principle.
Is it What did I do? I did something.
Oh, I know what you did.
Stretch.
I know what you did.
Can you help me?
Yes, there you are. Try that now.
Thank you.
I've did that myself. Oof.
Ooh, that didn't work. I love this. Shit!
So fast! Such a shame this bit was cut. Leo! He's trying so hard! God damn it, Leo.
So good. I love this right here. These are beautiful.
Yeah, look at those whip drawings there. Wow.
That's a good exercise for someone to get into like this, to study straight ahead animation. Doing a whip like this, because the thing is that like there's a complex action happening here where it's like the whip's like this.
Mm-hmm.
This space is going to grow, but it's moving back in space. So that means this bottom part of the whip is here, then this is going to come over. It makes this kind of door, and the door kind of expands over your character.
This is not easy.
Like that's
because I had a shot that I had to do like this in Night Runner, and my gosh, it was hard. And luckily Pat was there to give me some drawovers for it, because I was like getting so stuck with it. Like, that's a complex motion. It's lovely
I love
composition.
That he just stands there and pulls his wrist back.
Yeah. It's just selling the force. And again, look at the environment reacting.
There it is again.
Yeah.
See how like these like loops, the negative space gets pulled back.
Yeah.
When he does that,
a lot of Dutch angles as well. These Dutch angles really add dynamism, and you can also use them to show when things are like unbalanced or slightly off. Like, you'll often see in boards when something is not quite right, you'll either get a slight camera tilt starting to happen that drifts over frames, or you'll start to see the compositions tilt slightly. It's great for action boards too, just because it like forces everything to act more in perspective. To like tilt that horizon line slightly. Very dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Dutch angle when you tilt the horizon line.
Did he become a table?
He became a table!
Kevin.
Kevin!
Why are you turning people into tables?
Michelangelo has become just
crazy pose.
a square. Yeah, with that false perspective.
Yeah, I'm trying to see like exactly what's happening. I can kind of make it out. This is this is his leg.
Yes.
This is either his calf muscle or it's his thigh.
Which bit are you looking at? Yeah, I think
this.
I think that's his
this
thigh
is
there.
Yeah, so I think this is. I'm gonna take the pen from you for a sec. I'm the blue. I think this is what's happening here.
Oh, that's his butt up there. I see it now.
Yeah.
There you go. Draw that shredder butt.
Draw that shredder butt. And then again, look at this amazing twist. Like, whoosh.
Yeah, that's a huge twist.
Cool.
Look at like that's a wonderful. If I can grab the pen real quick.
Yeah, feel free to. I just
think that's
scribbled.
Wonderful, like look how far you can push these poses, people. Like using overlap, right? Here's the butt. The pelvis is obviously facing one way, and then the shoulders are another. And just like, yeah, like that spine would be there, and like the arm up here, like it's crazy. And then like this arm's kind of technically broken.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
It's for the pose to read.
Yeah, and then all the lines are feeding in beautifully. All right, it's fantastic.
And then we have the table.
Then we have the table. He's just a table. Is that because just playing with the perspective? Maybe like he's like making it just kind of a cube at first.
Yeah, I think it's basically just
and
like.
Then he'll add like the body on there later. Like, oh, there's the shell, there's the legs.
I think it's basically just saying this character is going to rotate like a board. Like,
Yeah.
just imagine this character just rotating.
Oh. Mikey! No.
So good. Again, drawing, same drawing,
Mhm.
but moving it, slightly adjusting it, slightly skewing, slightly adjusting scale.
I
And
feel
then
I feel
brings it
like
down, and then the same thing. that.
this board,
Subtle.
this part in particular, is kind of like showing that the shredder can match each of them in each of their strength and outclass them.
Mhm.
I think that's what these shots are communicating to me.
To me, it's almost like it's less that he's matching them in their chosen things, because I don't think he's necessarily outsmarting Leo. It's more that he's just such an immovable force. He's like,
Yeah.
there's no way their hits are doing anything to him. There's just no way to, like, he's iron, he's titanium, he's unshakable, he's unbreakable.
I love hands like this.
That's great. That's splayed fingers.
If you ever want to do a hand like that, draw the fingers first. Just be like, I'm gonna put the pinky here, I'm gonna put the other finger there, and there's gonna be a thumb. Boom, boom, make a triangle.
Oh.
And it's a hand.
Hey, that's a good tip. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, draw fingers first, and the rest of the arm kind of falls into place.
Wow. Eyes are learning.
It's a
I
good
love
one.
your learning noises.
Yeah, even if you have like multiple fingers, you just put them in whatever.
I hate
wherever
multiple
you want.
fingers. People who only have one. A pointing finger. Or a drawing finger.
All right.
It's the
Hold
only
on.
thing you need.
Let me just kind of doing India. There she goes. And she's like,
Here I am.
hey, look at that. And you want to see my one finger?
You want to see my one
Like-
finger? This is my.
There you
Oh
go.
god, that's terrifying. I hate it. Thanks, Pat. I hate it. That's not a finger. That's just an arm. I hate it.
I'm gonna do the robot with my janky ass finger.
it just bends.
Oh,
Mm.
I can't look at that.
Oh, it's
anymore.
beautiful. We've ruined the boards.
Also, don't forget your meat pads when you're drawing hands.
Yes. Squishy
The little,
palm.
like, yeah, if you have like a thumb and you got like your fingers, these pads right here, these are important. They indicate direction. Like if your hand hangs off the top of your wrist, so it's like if you have a wrist, that thumb's gonna be like there.
Yes. Also, yeah, just this is a really good example of a pose where you can see that the board artist has not got too caught up with the anatomy. Like, if you look at that leg and how skewed it is, like, that would never happen to a real leg, but it sells the pose, it sells the drawing. So when you're doing boards, it's more about intent and speed than it is about getting things, 100% on model.
Yeah.
The animation team will correct anything that you have like that, but so long as you make a very strong statement, they'll be able to see what you're going for. Yeah, I really like the way that the shadows are put on to the boards here, like just to emphasize.
Just emphasis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is overlapping. I'm gonna show that with the shadow, just to kind of add a little extra there to kind of sell that overlap.
Fist come up. Boy go down.
Appreciate all the follows, by the way.
And
guys.
it's like just enough information.
We're getting follows, so I'm just appreciating them.
Oh yeah,
so
thank you
much.
guys. Thanks very much.
I can't see the chat right now, so if you guys would just tell the chat how much I love them.
Patrick
And how
loves
much-
you, chat.
I love you, chat. All the follows, all the subscriptions, all the points. For every point is a heart from me.
Yeah. Give your support to Rise, not to us.
Yeah.
Or both.
Patrick, too nice.
So JJ is answering a question from Space Dad, but he says the easiest thing to do is study the hell out of scenes that inspire you. Figure out why they impact you so much that you can channel that into your work. I can't remember if I mentioned it already, but I'll literally go through a scene I love and pause each shot, trying to identify why they chose that shot. What is it communicating, and how does it do so? I'll also count shots. Literally, I identify a beat I love, then count how many shots it took the board artist to communicate that beat. It's usually less than you'd expect.
Oh, that's a really good piece of advice. Yeah.
So is that like a practice of retro boarding, JJ, where like you will reverse engineer a sequence that you feel like it works for you when you view it? And then
try and get into the headspace that the board artist was in when they did it. Yeah.
it's
Like, that's something that is a struggle for me still, is like communicating something very clearly in as few shots as possible, and the best boarders that I see do that very well. So counting the shots is counting the number of shots it takes for them to establish that story point, or to sell that emotion, or to to board the moment or the point that they're trying to convey, is a really good thing
yeah,
to
because
check out.
you're battling clarity. If you try and say too much all at once, you lose clarity. But if you can have things overlap without cutting and frame the actions that you need, what is happening?
Are these all these adorable potatoes? Patrick Tatoes.
Patrick is appreciating you all.
This is Pat appreciating the chat in his potato form. Aw.
How I draw.
Yeah. I grasp the pencil in my fist and just smash it.
It's kind of like
This is actually me, by the way. These are self-portraits.
This is very accurate.
I'm a potato.
to scale.
He is literally a potato, guys.
Yeah.
I hope you realise that. Patrick is not human. He's a potato.
Potato.
On the other end of the call with us. Those eyes. I love how high up your moustache is, like between your eyes every time you draw yourself. Makes me so happy. There he is. The golden child.
So how are you guys feeling? Do you want to take maybe like a 5-minute intermission break, stretch your leg, and then we'll continue with another board or something?
Okay, we could do that. If you want to talk about like pushed poses, there's a great bit in Kevin's episode 1 board where Leo's like running towards this giant creature, and there's the poses on Leo when he's running. It's like so pushed. They're so pushed. It's the one just under the Battle Nexus animation.
This one here?
Yep, that's the one. There's a bit in this one.
Whoa. Oh my god. Those very simple drawings.
Yeah, I think this may be the first thing that Kevin boarded, but JJ can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, this is episode 1 of the series, so...
Still got some crazy action stuff.
Yeah, it does. Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, cool. Max Collins boarded on Rise as well.
Oh, I love Max Collins' work. Yes, I
Leo thing got me. So.
Max Collins is great.
Oh yeah.
Awesome animator and boarder. So here we go. This
Beautiful.
just after this scramble. Here we are. These run poses, so pushed.
So good.
It's right here.
Yeah, just after this shot.
Oh, these are beautiful.
This scramble is so fun. Goodness gracious. Like, that forced perspective is strong.
Look how much the body is hidden by the legs.
Yeah.
Like that's your torso. That's how big your torso is this big and your legs are this big. That's forced perspective.
Mhm.
And then your foot is this big. Your foot is as big as his thigh.
Yeah.
You know?
Bigger.
So JJ says, actually, this is the second that he boarded. We boarded the pilot after the first rotation of 6 episodes. His first board was Newsworthy, which is also the first episode of the show ever boarded.
Whoa! Oh, that's so cool to know. Oh, thanks, JJ. Wow, Newsworthy was the first episode boarded. Like, I would never have expected that. It's really cool to hear, like, how things were kind of shuffled around during production. For some reason, I always...
I love the perspective on the big creature here.
It's great, yeah. For some reason, I always expect it to be like, episode 1 was boarded first, and then episode 2 was boarded. It's not always the way it works out, though.
Leg off. That sucks.
Yeah.
Ow!
That's something I've noticed that Kevin likes to do a lot too, is to like rotate the camera with a hit to either show the aftermath of a hit or to follow a hit.
Oh, it's so good.
at this. Again, like, every fight is so creative. You know, and again, there's an aim to this fight too, just like there is with every Rise fight, where the aim for this fight was to show that they can do some damage, but not necessarily the way they intend to. Like, they are untrained, and things don't always work out the way they want them to in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of them accidentally succeeding.
Yeah, unintentionally awesome.
Mm-hmm. The eyeballs!
So good.
Ooh. Oh. April O'Neil.
I like how active and involved April is right from the beginning.
She's great. She has a Leroy Jenkins moment and just runs in. And then I love that we get her in the background. Yeah, just ripping it with her teeth.
Foaming at the mouth.
Feral animal April O'Neil is on the case. And we just get her, like, in the background of the fight from now on, like, fighting these two gargoyles.
Got a nice. I wonder if this is pinned to the camera at all.
Oh, it might be, yeah.
Might be. Yeah.
It might well be.
That's a thing, by the way, storyboard artists you can do in Storyboard Pro. You can pin drawings to the camera. So that means if this is this arm here, if this is pinned to the camera, that means everywhere the camera goes, this actually isn't affected by it. So like this would just stay in the same. It's almost as if like you took a drawing and taped it to the front of your camera and then moved your camera around. You'd only see the background move. The drawing would stay in place.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use that to great effect for having characters who need to like do things like with a crazy moving camera. Sometimes you'll just pin the character motion to it and then move it around as you will.
So incredibly helpful. Also, Pop Stuff is asking, would we recommend getting the one-time purchase for Toon Boom? If you're an animator and you use it a lot, then I would recommend it. Definitely. Like, it's very good software. I purchased it with my student loan in university, and it's done me good for, like, ever since. So it's
more cost effective that way, but it is a big initial startup.
It's a big investment up front. If anyone wants to try Toon Boom, then they actually have like month free trials that you can take, and they have a month free trial for the Essentials package, the Advanced package, and the Premium package. So you can essentially get 3 months of it free if you start with the Essentials and step up every time.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's right here. Freaking Leo.
Yeah, trying to get away.
That's so good.
Again, like
Comedy.
the personalities of these characters, so strong. Episode 1, you know?
And like this.
Yep. Well, it does the job.
How do you draw Raph? Done.
Yep, there he is. He's a Star Trek Enterprise symbol.
To boldly go where no
These are
Raph has
great.
gone before.
They're still so expressive though.
Yes.
That's really the key. I love this moment when he grabs the. Oh, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
Look how much this room of the space this fist takes. So that means he moves. Nothing else is moving, right? Here we go. We're talking about epic shots.
Yeah.
He moves. Nothing else moves. But then the giant. He's stationary. So he has stopped moving. So it was like go, stop on Draxum. Then the fist moves out of view, revealing this in the background. So our eyes are going here, then here, and then here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've become very active in the performance, or in watching the performance.
Yeah.
And then of course all the motion in the foreground with like the wind and stuff as it
The camera
lumbers
shake.
off screen.
Yeah, the camera shake, the affecting the environment, all of that good stuff is in there. Game Explain fan, yes, I love this show. We all love this show.
Right here, this is such a smart, clever thing. Just grabbing it and just throwing it, and then you get this wonderful shot.
And look how economic that throw is as well. Like, you don't even see the throw. You see the hand whip up, and then you see the after pose, and we just pull out to see everything already in the air. It tells us everything we need to know.
Textured shot.
It gives you A and C,
Loop,
and lets you conclude B.
Yeah. And these are just looping, right? So these are looping, so they're it's almost like a still. It's a moving still. Moving still, moving still, moving still, and then like this guy, he's basically just cushioning into a pose. And this takes center stage because this is making the most movement.
Yeah.
it's coming at you. And it's there you go. That's how you do these wonderful epic shots.
Beautiful.
And then of course this craziness.
Oh my goodness. So everything is moving and the characters are coming closer and further away from the camera, doing all this amazing perspective work. We're swapping between cameras and point of views and focuses. Like there's so much happening. One of the shots where everything is moving. Yeah, people think that off-model moments is a sign of bad animation. Our view on that is that if you have everything on model all the time, then you're going to have quite stiff animation. Like, you want to get those fun, animation smears and those moments of things popping around. It adds a lot of personality to it. Animation is about, like, expressing ideas. It's not about, like, drawing perfect cubes all the time.
That's all animation is. What are you talking about?
That's all I do. I just draw the cubes.
I draw perfect cubes.
That's all Yutaka Nakamura did. He just drew cubes, man.
It reminds me of a discussion I had with an animation teacher way back when. He was kind of a troll.
Oh
like
no.
he would make fun of you, and like I was having a really hard time with an animation, and he just put his hand on my shoulder and he goes, "It's not hard. Like, just put more drawings where they should be."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, Thanks. Is that it? Is that all I gotta do?
Just do it better.
Yeah.
Have you considered improving?
This whole time I was putting them in the wrong places, and I gotta put them in the right place.
Have you tried getting good?
It's like, yes, and I failed.
God damn it. I'm still in the process of trying to get good.
Lost good.
I'm on my way. Like, I'm trying.
Yeah. It slipped through my fingers.
I'm sorry, we were going to do a 5-minute break, and then I suggested that.
We were.
Yeah, do you guys, we'll have a 5-minute break. Everyone go get a drink, have a stretch, and then we'll pop back.
I'll be right on the back of his head.
Fuck.
He's like, what? Why are you drawing? No!
I can't see what they wrote on me! Don't worry, Raph, it's nothing bad.
Okay, we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Yeah. For some reason, the E didn't write
Back in
properly.
5 minutes.
So here you are. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna go get a drink, and I'll catch you back here in 5.
Thanks so much for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed this study of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Join us in part 2 for more discussion.